World Health Organization, WHO, has their own guidelines about this. They say from the age of 0 to 2, screen time should be 0 minutes. No. Yeah, I know. Now what happens with the screen time is things move very quickly, especially on a mobile or an iPad. It's a smaller screen. Things move very quickly, so your eyes move in a very different place. Playing Candy Crush. 5 minutes of Candy Crush and you close your eyes, you still see the candies moving behind your eyes. And this child is like this. Moving all the time. Not able to focus on one thing. And the child looks at me like this. Oh, this is a green rhombus, in that accent. After that, the child spoke to me in clear words, but in this accented English. These are the 3 main areas that are concerning restlessness that can be changed by us, by our habits, by our diets, changing our own routines. I'll repeat again if you want. The first thing is sleep, at least 8 hours of sleep, 2 hours of no screen time before sleep, which is like, what have I said, haven't I? The next thing is trying to eliminate sugar and refined flour from the diet. The third thing is movement. It is extremely difficult to do what I've asked you to do, but if you do that, you're going to find a change in your own restlessness as well as in the child that you have with you or the child that you're working with. The last and the most scary point is screen time. Now, what is screen time? Screen time is your ability to focus on a screen. Now, what screen? TV, mobile, iPad, laptop, desktop, all of this is screen. Wherever you are seeing me is also a screen. The World Health Organization, WHO, has their own guidelines about this. They say from the age of 0 to 2, screen time should be 0 minutes. From 2 to 5 should be 2 minutes. From 5 to 10 should be 5 to 10 minutes. From 10 to 15 years should be not more than 15 minutes. I know. Yeah, I know. How much screener is happening? How much screen time is happening? Now what happens with the screen time is things move very quickly, especially on a mobile or an iPad. It's a smaller screen. Things move very quickly, so your eyes move in a very different place, especially when you're playing games. Now after the screen time, when you have to either study or sleep, your eyes are moving at a very different pace. The letters on the book are not going to be steady for you. They are going to jump at you. It's going to be very difficult to read. It's going to be very physiologically, because your eyes are your eyes are doing this, looking at a cartoon or playing a game, and then after that you have to. It gets difficult. It's like playing Candy Crush. 5 minutes of Candy Crush and you close your eyes, you still see the candies moving behind your eyes. Think about what is happening when you're doing a couple of hours of it. This becomes a problem. Then the second thing that is happening is that screen brightness. Again, before sleeping is telling your brain that it's daytime. Don't produce melatonin. Don't let this body go into the cycle of sleep. That becomes a problem. That is why I said earlier also, 2 hours before sleeping there should be no screen time. It just screws up everything we are trying to do. Isn't it? It's very difficult to do that. 90% of us finish all the housework and then sit down with our phones to do whatever we need to do before we go to sleep. That is where it's really starting to mess up with our sleeps as adults also. COVID has brought forth a lot of adults with restlessness syndrome. I'm not going to label any medical diagnosis here, but difficulties in sitting still, difficulties in having prolonged sessions, which was not so much a problem before COVID, but during those 2 years of lockdown, a lot of our habits changed, and that is what's resulting in this restlessness. It is there everywhere. One of the things that I would like to end with is whatever habit it is that you're trying to change, you have to do it for 45 days. If you can change something for 6 straight weeks, it's a new habit. But to break a habit takes only 2 days of not doing it. Yeah, so bad, isn't it? So that's what we need to do. If you're trying to do a new thing, do it for 6 weeks, then it becomes a habit. So I have a story about screen time, and this is fairly recent. And it's not the only story. Actually, this particular story has been repeated many times in the last 6 months. Parents say that this is a child, I don't think he can listen. although we've done the hearing test, he can hear. And I'm like, okay. And this child is like this, moving all the time, not able to focus on one thing. And parents are, of course, daily wages workers, and they're speaking to me in a very different language, like, "Oh, tai hai, kai bolte, kai kalat nahi amala." So, I understand that he's been brought up in Marathi, so I'm speaking to him in Marathi, saying, "Hey, kai hai, te kai hai." And the child is looking at me like this, and like, he's they're doing a simple form board thing. And then I'm looking at the mother saying, he's putting it correctly, what's happening here? And then suddenly, not by mistake, but by naturally, I handed him a form, and I said, "What is this?" And the child looks at me like this. "Oh, this is a green rhombus," in that accent. I'm like, what? It was like this child realized she speaks my language. She understands what I am saying. After that, the child spoke to me in clear words, but in this accented English. So then I turn around and I look at the mother and I ask her, "What is this?" And then she tells me that during COVID, they were daily wages workers. They had to go to work. So they, with his older sister, who is about 8 or 9 years old, and a mobile, they would leave the two children at home because the daughter's school was on screen. And he's been listening to the teacher talk. He knows his ABCDs, he knows his forms. The problem is with a bit of writing and of course the level of energy. But this child has had so much of screen time, he has taught himself a lot of things. The moment we cut down on the screen time, he came from that virtual world into our world, which is the reality, and he started communicating with me, with his parents. He still speaks accented Marathi because that is his mother tongue, but he can communicate and he is able to tell them that yes, I need to, I am hungry or I'm thirsty, instead of just going and getting whatever he wanted because they didn't understand what he was trying to say. But this is where the screen time problem comes in. This is a probably more than average IQ child who taught himself everything, went to school as soon as COVID was done, and finished off with a portion of junior KG and senior KG, and then he won't say it. We need to really regulate our screen and then still take a look at what we are teaching, what the children are doing on the screens. Thank you.